when it comes to Star Wars. You know, the movies with space wizards and laser swords. There's something that comes off unusually unrealistic. Watch this clip.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
No. That's not true. That's impossible.
Do you notice anything odd? Here, let me show it again.
I am your father.
No. That's not true. That's impossible.
Luke and Darth Vader are having a fight to the death, and Darth Vader takes a little break. But that isn't the odd part. Instead of catching his breath, as one would usually do during a slow portion of a light sword fight, he starts to talk. And through this conversation, he reveals to his opponent, the opponent he was fighting to the death mere moments earlier, that he is his father. Now Luke, you know, the other guy fighting to the death mere moments earlier, has a frickin' breakdown. What makes any sense about this? Someone is trying to kill you. They take a break and say they are your father, and then you cry like a little baby? It is something that goes right over the heads of most people. And granted, these are films, so there is a suspension of belief. But when it comes to something as serious as blood relations and parentage, there's a heck of a lot of blind trust in the Star Wars universe.
Who was his father?
There was no father. I carried him, I gave birth, I raised him. I can't explain what happened.
Take, for instance, how Yoda goes on to confirm that Vader is Luke's father.
Is Darth Vader my father?
Rest I need. Yes. Rest.
Yoda, I must know.
Your father is.
Yoda's words come with some weight, because he is an alien dwarf that lives on a bog planet of wilderness. And Luke was introduced to him by the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi, so obviously Yoda is a credible source. But one cannot speak about Luke meeting Yoda without talking about how Luke met Obi-Wan. Luke meets Obi-Wan because the droids he buys, C-3PO, a droid built by Vader, and R2-D2, a droid owned by Vader, but back to how they met. R2 plays a video of Leia, who was just some eye candy to Luke at the time.
Who is she? She's beautiful.
And Luke uses this grainy video as all the inspiration he needs to find Obi-Wan. And while that is a noble venture, things stop making sense around there. Luke, upon meeting Obi-Wan, just instantly takes his word as gospel. Without evidence, Luke believes the stories about his father.
That's what your uncle told you. He didn't hold with your father's ideals, thought he should have stayed here and not gotten involved. I have something here for you. Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
No, he didn't. He never even knew he had a son.
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father.
Talk about blind trust. It was Obi-Wan that almost killed Luke's father. Also, Obi-Wan very clearly knows that Luke and Leia are siblings.
Use the Force, Luke.
But instead of telling him that, he teaches Luke how to use a dangerous light sword while his vision is obstructed. But back to Luke being Vader's son. Luke really takes the confirmation of the news quite well.
Your father is.
As well as finding out that Leia's a sister. You know, the woman he made out with and fawned over.
That is the reason why your sister remains safely anonymous.
Leia. Leia is my sister.
Your insight serves you well.
But this is where things start to get weird. Leia is able to remember meeting her mother, even though she only met her on the day she was born.
It's a go.
Quite an interesting achievement, since babies can't engage in long-lasting conscious memory until they are 14 to 18 months old. But I digress.
Leia. Do you remember your mother? Your real mother?
Just a little bit. She died when I was very young.
What do you remember?
Just images, really. Feelings.
Tell me.
She was very beautiful. Kind, but sad.
But back to the point of the video. Leia is oddly accepting of being related to Luke and surprisingly nonchalant about Vader being her biological father when confronted with the news.
He's my father.
Your father?
There's more. It won't be easy for you to hear it, but you must. You have that power too. In time, you'll learn to use it as I have. The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. And my sister has it. Yes. It's you, Leia.
She doesn't act the least bit shocked that a cyborg that tried to kill her multiple times is her father. Now this gets us to Kylo Ren. How or why the hell does he know that Darth Vader is his grandfather?
Show me. Grandfather. And I will finish what you started.
Luke, Leia, and Han Solo weren't exactly fans of the guy.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Between the three of them, Darth Vader tortured Leia, cut off Luke's arm, and froze Han in carbonite. Additionally, actual proof of this family tie only comes from Luke, who only had the information confirmed to him by a ghost and a dying green pygmy with chihuahua ears. But somehow, this is enough evidence for Han and Leia to race their son and tell him that Darth Vader is his grandpa. Which, by the way, for those of you keeping score of Kylo Ren's 4 grandparents, they are all dead before he is born, and 3 are literally unknown, as Padme is never brought up in the films after her death, and Han never knew his parents. So instead of maintaining the trend of unknown grandparents, or even telling Kylo about cool adopted grandpa Bail Organa, Han and Leia make sure young Kylo is made very aware that Darth Vader is his grandfather. His grandfather based on stories told to his uncle Luke by dead people. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most successful film franchise in the world.